Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today for our regular board meeting. My name is Tanika Harris. I am the Director of Communication and Community Relations for the Urban Redevelopment Authority. We are excited to be able to share some of the incredible projects that we have working on. We have a few announcements and some other some ideas and we're looking forward to hearing from you all today. So I see Chairman Chintalopoulos is on. Thank you so much. All of our board members are here. Chairman, I'm going to pass it over to you. You have a quorum. You can take it.
Thank you, Director. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I guess first order of business is to take roll. Director Powell is here with me. Councilman Lavelle, I believe you are on, Representative Innamorato, and Director Williamson. So all members are present and accounted for. First order of business is approval of the October 13th, 2022 regular URA board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, the motion carries. Next up is public comment. I know for the first part of the meeting, we have a number of folks registered for public comment. For those that have registered for the Lower Hill, we'll take your public comment after the regular meeting before the briefing. So with that, Danielle, I'll turn it over to you for the folks that have registered.
Hi there. Good afternoon. My name is Daniel Grantham. I'm Executive Operations Coordinator with the URA. Our first live public comment will be from Abby Ray Lacombe. Abby, I just gave you speaking permission. You'll have 3 minutes to deliver your public comment, and I'll let you know when you've got about 30 seconds left. So you have the floor.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Abby Ray Lacombe, and I'm the Executive Director of Rent Help Pittsburgh. We provide outreach and coordinated entry and resource navigation support to tenants involved in the HOF's Legal Assistance Program for tenants. For a little bit of context, I just want to tell you a little bit about what we've been working on and where we are at. And why we're doing it. Since all of the eviction protections have lifted, we're seeing close to 250 eviction filings weekly across the county. Almost 100 of them are actually in the city of Pittsburgh. Numbers are a little bit lower thanks to what we call LAP, Legal Assistance Programs, inclusion of mediation, and the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh has chosen to participate in mediation with so many of its tenants. We are continuing to have strong success connecting tenants experiencing eviction and habitability concerns with the LAP-T program. Since we launched in May 2021, LAP-T has connected more than 1,065 clients to legal providers and mediation services. Excitingly, this October, we rolled out our first phase of the Lawyer of the Day program, which provides legal assistance in courts in the city of Pittsburgh. We rolled out in 2 courts and we are presently in 4. And I want to go over a couple of stats from our October. We reached out to 55 tenants before their hearings and connected with 40 of them, 75% of all the filings in those districts. We referred all 40 to legal providers and connected 87% of them with rental assistance. Outcomes of those hearings were terrific. We are seeing 10 times the normal rate of judgments in favor of tenants and a 70% decrease in judgments against the tenant. This reflects a really big win for tenants and their landlords as we're keeping people housed and getting landlords paid. So I just want to say I'm really impressed with how the legal assistance program is serving as a key link in the URA and HOF's missions. We're connecting Pittsburghers most at risk of homelessness, including those in URA-funded low-income housing with essential HOF programs like the Housing Stabilization Program. We're integrating those programs with county-wide rental assistance and providing essential legal support to keep Pittsburghers in their homes.
Got about 30 seconds.
Perfect, thank you. I have very little left to say other than I hope as we're looking forward, we can see the value of this and really work together to assess ways that we can not just keep it funded at its current level, but expand that funding to be able to cover all of the city of Pittsburgh. Thank you so much for your time.
Our next public commenter will be Swain Uber. I've just given you permission to speak, and
Daniel,
yes,
Swain put in the chat asking if Adam Dibio could speak before him. Hopefully I said that last name right.
yes. Bear with me just one moment.
Thanks.
Adam, you have the floor, and you have about 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Perfect. Thank you. My name is Adam Debo. I am the managing attorney for the Housing Department of Neighborhood Legal Services. We are one of the legal partners for the Legal Assistance Program. And I'm just going to mirror a little bit what Abby Ray said and also give some anecdotal and some statistical evidence here talking about Lawyer of the Day. So as Abby Ray said, this has been hugely helpful, not just for tenants, but for landlords and for the judges as well. Rent Help Pittsburgh, Abby Ray's organization, performs outreach for us and gets us in contact with tenants far upstream, which is probably the strongest benefit of this program. The earlier that we can get into the diagnostic stage and see the issues that landlords and tenants are having, the easier we can solve those. So we're able to connect with folks upstream, get them resources and diagnose legal issues, and then we can help tenants advocate for defenses that maybe they didn't even know that they had, or that they couldn't particularly clearly articulate in court. We also work really closely with landlords as well to help resolve some communication issues between landlord and tenant, which is often the crux of many issues regarding housing instability. Similarly, this is good for landlords as well. We can solve some issues that they're having with their tenants with the help of lawyers and resource navigators, and get everybody on the same page again. They get access to rental assistance to help cover maybe rental arrears or costs. And we can kind of reestablish that relationship in the communication to put everybody on the same wavelength once we've been involved. Finally, it's also good for the judges, and we've had good feedback from all of the judges in the program thus far. It allows them to keep cases out of their courts to free up cases that have real legal substantive issues, as opposed to using the courts as solely a rent collection tool. It allows us to catch those on the front end and help landlords work directly with resources to solve those issues. So I have some November stats for neighborhood legal services in our two courts to back up these anecdotal pieces of evidence here. We've seen 40 cases across these two courts throughout 2 weeks of November so far. 7 of those 40 have been withdrawn or dismissed. 24 of those 40 have been continued. And 9 of those 40 have been found for plaintiff, found for the landlord. But of those
30 seconds,
6 of those were no-shows. So only 3 folks have come to court on Lawyer of the Day days and have had possession granted to their landlord. So we're seeing the anecdotal evidence, we're seeing the statistical evidence back this up, and we're just thankful for the opportunity to continue working on this program. Thank you.
thank you. Next up is Swain Uber. Swain, you have the floor for 3 minutes, and your time starts. Waiting for, okay, great. Your time starts now. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Swain Uber, and I'm an attorney with Community Justice Project, which is a statewide legal aid organization that advocates and works on behalf of Pennsylvanians everywhere, but specifically in this case, Pittsburgh residents focusing on housing issues. You've heard a lot already today about the Lawyer of the Day program. This was an initiative that was launched recently after having been, an additional expansion to the legal assistance program for tenants that the HOF created about a year and a half ago now. We've already seen extremely promising numbers, success that frankly, even someone as optimistic and excited as I'm about this sort of work, I wasn't expecting. But there is a need not only to expand just beyond these 4 courts. We've already received some pretty strong requests from in Hazelwood, in other neighborhoods where the program does not currently exist at the capacity that it does in the 4 courts that we're in. Those 4 courts, just so it's clear, cover the entire northern part of the city, and cover the Hill and Homewood and East Hills as well. One of the reasons we're here today is the current proposed allocation in the HOF's 2023 budget is not enough for the legal assistance program to maintain its current service level, which includes, this recent expansion to the 4 courts. In order to maintain service for the remainder of next year, it would need to be twice what it is right now. For a full calendar year of funding, the allocation would need to be closer to 3 times. Again, that would not include an expansion of the Lawyer of the Day program to other courts. Within the city of Pittsburgh, there are 12 magisterial district courts. Not all of those would need the same level of service based on filing numbers and other factors, but we would at least need to see it into an additional 4 and potentially 5 courts to really serve and keep Pittsburghers home. That is a discussion that we all are interested in having, figuring out how to provide that type of service with for Pittsburghers. We understand the URA and the Housing Opportunity Fund aren't the only players in this, and it's a discussion that we are already beginning and excited to continue. Thank you. But I did just want to make it clear that one of the dichotomies that we run into is affordable housing production versus prevention of a loss of housing. I think what we have encountered, especially in these specific courts, is that the very same affordable housing that the HOF and the URA and the city are working to create and build often are some of the largest eviction filers, which is essentially to say that you can build it, you can fund rental assistance, but unless we have a strong outreach team, attorneys to protect their rights, resource navigators to connect people to rental assistance, tenants who are even doing everything right can still be evicted from that same housing. So this is a critical program, critical resources. We thank you so much for your support up to this point, and we're excited about what the future can and should hold. Thanks.
Thank you. And we have one additional public comment that was registered in writing from Aaron Erb. His comment is in relation to the HOF annual allocation, and in summary, I wish to thank the URA board for its support of the legal housing or the legal assistance program for tenants through the HOF, particularly Eric and Brianna. Aaron is the executive director of Just Mediation, and Just Mediation has resolved almost 600 landlord-tenant disputes and helped mediation parties reach agreements in 95% of the mediations in which they were involved. Many of his colleagues with which he has spoken are grateful that the URA has led in the development of the legal assistance program, and they appreciate the continued support of our collaborative efforts. Mediation gives city residents more power in their housing relationships and stabilizes housing upstream, which helps us as a city maintain access to and continuity in the affordable housing that this board has worked so hard to foster. And that completes the public comment that was registered for this portion of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Just wanted to note that the board met in executive session to discuss personnel and legal matters on November 10th. And then the board was also briefed by staff on November 3rd regarding today's agenda. The briefing was for informational purposes only. With that, moving on in the agenda, up next is announcements.
Well, good afternoon. Again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to truly honor our beloved sister, Celeste Scott. On November 2nd, 2022, founder, human, activist, servant leader, human, housing justice advocate, ally, human, board member, teacher, mentor, human, Celeste Scott passed away, but her legacy lives on. Sister Celeste consistently used her voice to combat discrimination and, dare I say, good trouble. Although Sister Celeste is no longer with us, her voice and words are a living legacy. We honor Sister Celeste Scott for her tireless and selfless work to create good trouble and vow to uphold her legacy specifically through programs like the Housing Opportunity Fund, which she was instrumental in making a reality. The URA staff, board members, and Housing Opportunity Fund board members wish to hold a moment of silence on behalf of this amazing human who created good trouble in the city of Pittsburgh after others provide additional thoughts. And if there are no other thoughts, Chairman Chantalopoli, we will be able to hold a moment of silence with your blessing.
Thanks, Director. I think Director Powell would like to say something before we take a moment of silence.
Thank you, Director. I think for all of us, Celeste, I appreciate you saying human. She was such a larger than life advocate, proponent for housing justice, Black liberation. I will say personally, I've learned so much from her advocacy and her friendship. For those of you who don't know her, we've all benefited from her advocacy, from the Housing Opportunity Fund to other countless initiatives that she launched, that she nurtured, that she pushed for across the city. And so as a URA board member, as a citizen of Pittsburgh, as a person, greatly appreciate all that she's given to all of us and to moving liberation forward, and appreciate this moment of silence that the board will be taking.
Director Williamson, I saw you come off mute, sorry.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, thank you, Tanika, for your amazing and poetic words of remembrance. And one of the, what I will always remember about Celeste, one of the many things I will remember about Celeste is that she was always full of love and kindness, even in the midst of such terrible struggles. Even while fighting against horrible injustices, even while struggling, to many times uphill to pass legislation and to organize for positive change. On a human level, she was always full of love and kindness, and fought out of love. Fought for a better world. Based on the foundation of love for her community and for those around her. And it's an example that we should all aspire to.
Thanks, Ann. Derek, I saw you come in. Do you want to say something?
Oh, sure.
We can hear you.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Kyle. I actually joined for a different reason, but I will take this moment just to express just my gratitude to Celeste. And yeah, I got to work with her so many times over the years, and she was just a wonderful human being and a gift to this city. And I think, yeah, her influence will live on for decades to come, but we will miss her greatly. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this one hit hard, right? I think when we all got the news last week, there is no housing opportunity fund without Celeste Scott. She pushed, she held us accountable, she challenged us, and Sam, to your point, she always did it. With giving us a hug right before and after the meeting, and doing it in that spirit of love, that spirit of partnership, and she pushed us to be better. Pittsburgh is a better place. We still have more work to do, and we owe it, to the memory of her, to hold true to those values in the way in which we approach what we do every day here. So, thank you for making the space for us to honor her today, and remember her today, and hopefully we carry that spirit forward, right, all the time. But with that, we'll take a moment of silence to honor Celeste. So. Thank you. The next announcement on the agenda, I believe James Reed and Shushila are joining us.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Reed, and I'm the Manager of Strategic Initiatives and Business Growth Strategies here at the URA. I am joining you today to announce that next Wednesday, November 16th, the URA will release a request for proposals for trustee services for our tax diversion programs. That's TIF, TRIDS, and PTDs. As mentioned, the RFP will be issued through the URA's Ion Wave account, and we look forward to receiving several great proposals and working with potentially a new trustee. Thank you.
Thanks, James. The next announcements are 2022 third quarter impact report.
Thanks, Chairman. Good afternoon. My name is Dylan Sloat, and I'm a legislative and systems specialist in the URA Strategic Data and Impact Unit. On your screen, you're going to see some highlights from the quarter 3 2022 URA impact report. The full report is now live on the impact page of the URA's website, and it shows some of the work that was done by the URA in the third quarter. Some snapshots from this quarter's report include 78 businesses being connected with technical assistance through the Get Online, Grow Online program and through its partnership with Chatham University. 62 individuals were able to stay in their homes through either housing crisis prevention programs or through housing-related legal assistance provided by the Housing Opportunity Fund. 22 individuals were assisted in achieving home ownership through the HOF down payment and closing cost program. 109 units of affordable housing were created or preserved by our residential and consumer lending programs. 12 small business loans were closed between the URA and its affiliates, worth over $12 million in the third quarter. And finally, roughly $608,000 were dispersed to businesses maintaining vacant lots and to support neighborhood projects through land care and neighborhood initiative fund programs. I encourage anyone who is interested in reading further on these values to go to the impact page on the URA's website. Thank you.
Thanks, Dylan. Moving into the regular agenda, there's a preview for folks. First item on the regular agenda is Avenues of Hope under Development Services, project in Center Avenue. I believe Maya is joining us for this one.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Maya Fuse. I'm a project manager here at the URA. And today we are requesting 2 authorizations for the lot and parcels located at 2519 Center Avenue on behalf of Amani Christian Community Development Corporation. The first authorization is to execute a deed of sale for the blocks and parcels listed to Amani in advance of their financial closing. This deed will establish site control that is needed to secure funding for the project. The project team will have 6 months to financially close on the project, and the second authorization is to hold a reverter deed as insurance if the project is not financially closed by June 2023. Next slide, Daniel. So additional project details. This is an 18,000 square foot mixed use redevelopment. 4,500 square feet will be for retail, and the remaining 13,500 will be for affordable housing, which will be broken down into 4 one-bedroom apartments and 8 two-bedroom apartments. This project has satisfied MWBE narrative requirements and approval of 60% drawings. Myself, ML, and the project team is here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maya. Reverend Walls, Mr. Palmer, if you had anything else you'd like to add or share with the board.
Good afternoon, board, and to other participants in this Zoom meeting. We thank you for once again reviewing our project and looking at this project. This is an impact project along the Center Avenue corridor. These deeds that we're requesting are very important to the project, and it's about a $6 million project, and these deeds will allow us to pursue 1/3 of the project costs. So this is a very important item. We hope you will support it. We thank you for the opportunity, and we are continuing to bring this project to fruition along Center Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Walls. Any questions or comments from the board?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Good luck, with the rest of the raising the funding, and hopefully we'll see you back soon to continue to move the project forward.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is authorization to approve the final 2023 Housing Opportunity Fund allocation plan. Joining us for this will be John Burns and Evan Miller.
Thank you. So good afternoon. My name is Jad Burns, and I'm the Housing Administration and Community Outreach Coordinator for the Urban Redevelopment Authority. Today, I'm seeking authorization to approve the final 2023 Housing Opportunity Fund annual allocation plan. Once this plan is approved, it will then go to City Council for final review and approval. Leading up to this final plan, we created an affordable housing public survey to receive community input on the 2023 draft annual allocation plan. Over that 6-week period, we received 288 unique responses, and individuals submitted answers to questions related to the availability of affordable housing, their housing priorities, and how the $10 million for the fund should be allocated. A memo of results and findings were created by the URA staff and shared with the board. And the board then held a working meeting on September 27th to begin drafting the annual allocation plan. And the advisory board members completed a worksheet to create a draft plan. During the October 6th HOF advisory board meeting, the draft 2023 annual allocation plan was approved by the HOF board. And then the plan was then published on the URA website with instructions for public comment. We received 3 comments during that period of time, and those were presented to the HOF board for discussion. We had 8 additional comments during the November HOF advisory board meeting, and these commenters encouraged the HOF board to increase funding for the legal assistance program in response to a large wave of evictions, with legal services and advocates expressing a need to expand supportive programs to reach more individuals. Commenters also expressed concern that the draft line item would be depleted by mid-2023 and would require replenishment. In response to public comment, the HOF Advisory Board decreased funding for demonstration dollars by $150,000 and shifted these monies to the legal assistance program. The final plan received a vote for approval from the HOF Board
on November 3rd. The final allocations for 2023 are shown in comparison to previous years on the chart provided, which provides context of funding year over year. If you have any questions about funding levels, one of us from housing, either Evan Miller or myself or Derek Kendall Morris, would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
I do have a question. I have a question about the line items where it's zero allocated for, I think 80% AMI, 50% AMI, 30% AMI on the for sale, as well as the down payment, closing and costs. Can you tell me why that's the case?
Yeah, excuse me. My name is Evan Miller. I'm the acting director of housing lending here at the URA. So we probably should have just graded those cells out because in the case of down payment and closing cost and the for sale development program, the way that the legislation is written that created the Housing Opportunity Fund, the affordable home ownership is defined as 80% AMI or below. And so this funding is available to anybody who's in, they could be at 30% AMI, they'd still get it. Okay. So it's just not necessary to restrict us. And yeah, should have caught that and just kind of grade it out. And the same goes with the rental gap program. That's the way that the legislation defines it. Affordable rental is affordable at or below 50% AMI. So we just don't have the option to put that into 80%, into that 80% bucket, if you will.
Understood. Thank you.
Daniel, can you go to the slide that shows the kind of year over year allocations? Thank you. What's interesting to me on this is kind of the similarity of the amounts, from year to year. I'm curious, just for kind of discussion and for everyone's understanding, the difference we're seeing, is that being informed, in part by demand as well as what we're hearing, from the engagement? Are we hearing things, through the engagement that are sort of drastically different? I know we've added, over the years, the small landlord fund and legal assistance. So those, have been things that have come out of those engagements, but I guess I'm curious from the similarities year over year, what might be driving that or not.
Yeah, I think it has been a combination of a few factors. One could be, or one is the expansion of programs. So adding more programs without really adding funding just is going to kind of stretch things out of it. But then also, I think around 2020 or so, we started to hear more about the demand for the consumer facing programs. So you'll see that rental gap and for sale have definitely been knocked down a bit from where they sort of started at. So there is definitely some shifting that's gone on, but it has not been yet to the level that we've like zeroed out a program. And I think to some extent, we don't want to zero out programs and have trouble bringing them back into operation. And there is kind of a minimum threshold just to keep them activated and working with the pipeline that we see, on our everyday projects and things like that.
And in addition to that, like you had mentioned, it is partially from, the survey results that we got from our public comment period as well. So, the things that are more heavily funded were what the community was asking for.
Could you talk a little bit more about that community engagement process and number of comments that were submitted by the public that weighed in on the use of these funds?
Yeah, so we provided public comment period from, I can't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but the end of July until the beginning of September. And we had 288 respondents during that time frame. And, we went a variety of ways to collect community feedback. We did have community meetings in each region of the city geographically, as in Northeast, Southwest, Central. Also did email campaigns, text campaigns, things of that nature. Yeah, so there was the ability to do it on paper at these community meetings and provided online as well.
And then just with the folks who did complete the survey and participate in that process, you know, the Housing Opportunity Fund really is targeting people below 80% area median income and concentration and folks in that 50% and 30% allocation. Do we know what percentage of the participants fall within the target communities that we're trying to reach with these dollars?
Yes, we do have those statistics. I will be honest, off the top of my head, I would not be able to spout them to you, but that is something I can provide. From memory, you know, it was not as low as we would have wanted in, you know, the collection that we got. There was some higher income there, but you know, ideally in the future, we would like to collect more. But through our targeted campaigns that we did specifically target lower income individuals, trying to get more feedback from them through text and email campaigns.
Okay.
Would you say that the responses that we received through the public engagement process have been consistent with like the demand that we've actually seen in practice for the programs? Not probably, like, in other words, I don't know, for example, down payment and closing cost assistance is looks like one of the only line items on here where we're reducing the investment in first-time home buyers. You know, do we see more people coming to us for homeowner assistance or for rental gap, or for housing stabilization than we do people trying to buy their homes in Pittsburgh for the first time?
So I think, you know, I'll just say a little bit, and I think Evan and Derek can expand on this. You know, some of the programs that we get the most people coming to us in response to is probably the homeowner assistance program, like home repairs and things of that nature. But on those surveys as well, people do say the most important thing to them is creating more rental and for sale development properties within the city. So kind of a balancing act, like Evan had mentioned earlier, with the funding and where we can move things around and increasing some for legal assistance based on public comment, and where we can adjust things. But Evan and Derek can probably expand on that a little more also.
I think the only thing that I would really add is that in the startup of the Housing Opportunity Fund, so the 2018 allocation plan through 2020, those were probably all passed within, I want to say maybe 18 months of each other, just to get on like a true lined up with the city's fiscal year. And so the number, you know, that we see here in the 2023 recommendations might not be like 550,000 for down payment and closing costs. You know, we might anticipate to actually see a little bit more activity than that, but we also have some past years allocation to spend as well. So there's that's a factor too. But then also, you know, this year the advisory board wanted to fund the demonstration program, and that's what went into the draft plan. We still are funding the demonstration program, but it really is just a difficult balancing act of kind of needing to take from somewhere. And then if we get to the end of the year and we realize that we're really dwindling on funds, you know, we would account for that probably in the next allocation plan.
Yeah, that's helpful to understand. I mean, I would hate to see us fall short on down payment and closing cost assistance. But if we have, you know, funds that we're carrying over from a prior year, I guess that'll help to fill the gap a little bit. And Pittsburgh continues to struggle with a almost, you know, a race-based homeownership gap that is worse than almost any other city in the country. And so this is an area where we can try to make a dent there.
And also with the demonstration dollars, like Evan mentioned, you know, that does have the opportunity to be used in any of these different programs if funding would run short. So that was one of the reasons the HOF board did want to create, you know, more money in these demonstration dollars so that we do have flexible funds that we can put other places if we would run out of funding somewhere else or for other projects.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Just a comment. I'm not necessarily recommending that we pull money from other of the line items for allocation, because everything is valuable, and we know that, you know, we're going to need many avenues to, you know, help keep people in safe, healthy, and stable homes. But just to the points that were made in public comment at the beginning around legal assistance, and from a public policy standpoint, the return that we're getting from investing in programs like that is pretty substantial, and shows that there's proof of concept and a desire to extend beyond just the 4 courts that are currently in operation, and there is a need to maintain and expand this program. So just want to uplift that, and whether that's through this funding or other creative public funding, it is a necessary and noble pursuit.
I was gonna just a comment and something for us to bring back as we're talking about community engagement as well. In the past, we've explored different ways to get deeper engagement, not so much numbers, but talking about the folks who are directly impacted, directly affected by this work. And we have explored ways to contract some of this community engagement out so that groups, I would say, that are closer to speaking to residents, speaking to tenants have that communication, that connection already to uplift those concerns. So I want to, for next year's allocation plan, and even for some of the other initiatives that we have launched, are going to launch, go back and think about how we can revive some of that community engagement planning, and figure out ways that we can continue to uplift and center the voices of folks who are most immediately affected.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Director Powell.
Yeah, thank you. And Representative, maybe once the whole homes money starts flowing, we'll be able to have a conversation on reallocating with the advisory board on some reallocations that could make sense. So,
yep.
With that, if there's nothing else from the board, entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, the motion carries.
Can't believe
Thank
we're
you
in
all.
year 6 of the HOF already.
Say that again?
But I can't believe we're in year 6 of the HOF allocation.
Wow. Absolutely well. Next item on the agenda is East Hills and East Liberty City of Bridges Community Land Trust Affordable for Sale Development. Joining us for this will be Victoria Jackson and Evan Miller.
Good afternoon. My name is Victoria Jackson. I am a lending analyst with the Residential Lending Department here at the URA. Today, I am presenting 2 funding requests for the For Sale Development Program. City of Bridges Community Land Trust requests construction grant financing in the amount of $70,000 to finance the soft costs for renovation at 8222 Rolfe Street, and $70,000 to finance soft costs for the renovation of 508 Borland Street. The proposed grants will be funded with a combination of 2021 Housing Opportunity Fund funds, as well as 2017 and 2018 CDBG funds. Per FSDP guidelines, each unit will have a 99-year affordability restriction. 8222 Rolfe Street is a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom, for sale single-family home in the East Hills neighborhood that will be sold to households at or below 80% AMI at a sales price of $112,000. 508 Borland Street is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, single-family home in the East Liberty neighborhood. This unit will be sold to households at or below 80% AMI at a sales price of $125,000. This unit was acquired by City of Bridges along with the neighboring properties of 506 and 514 Borland Street, both of which previously received URA grant financing for rehabilitation. Renovations for both properties are expected to begin within 60 days of closing on URA financing. These properties will be included in the City of Bridges Community Land Trust. Through the land trust model, City of Bridges will maintain its own 99-year ground lease and affordability period on these properties. They estimate an affordable home in the land trust will serve approximately 14 households at or below 80% AMI over the life of the ground lease, based on the national average length and tenure of community land trust homes. Regarding other financing sources, City of Bridges will utilize line of credit from Bridgeway Capital to finance these renovations. So once again, we are requesting approval for 2 grants, each in the amount of $70,000 to finance the soft cost of renovations by City of Bridges. Jordan Ogbonna of City of Bridges is also here today to answer any questions you may have about either of these projects. With that, I will open for questions.
Thank you, Victoria. Jordan, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I have a quick spiel. I won't take up too much time. As everybody knows, I'm Jordan Ogbonna from City of Bridges Community Land Trust. And I just wanted to provide some additional details about the projects that you see before you. So our home on Borland Street is in the heart of East Liberty, walking distance to the commercial corridor and transportation routes, which allows for disinvested populations to have an increased quality of life by connecting them to like goods and services. So this is the picture below the row homes that you're seeing. So with one of those sold and one currently being marketed, this will be our 3rd affordable home on this block. And we're just insanely excited to be able to provide these kind of opportunities to underserved folks. Our second home, the photo above on Rolfe Street, is in East Hills. And this is a new community for us development wise. And we're just overjoyed to be able to contribute some stability to this corner of the community. This is a gateway to the city from the east, and East Hills is like a nexus of activity for both like residents and commuters. According to the most recent visioning study initiated in December of last year, residents have like had concerns that East Hills is significantly neglected, with people continuing to focus on redevelopment resources in oversaturated markets. A number of homes in the community were originally the target of neglect after having been hurriedly sold during the drug epidemic in the 80s. And they were left to rot for decades. So the price of addressing decay has been steep. But this key site that we're developing in the neighborhood's major thoroughfare, we can use long-term affordability to not only remediate blight for this community, but spur some more development as well. A key demand from the East Hills Community Visioning Plan was for generational disinvestment plaguing East Hills to be addressed. However, through Rolfe Street's rehabilitation, we will be joining hands with East Hills in their goal to preserve demand and fight disinvestment. Also, this house was built in the 60s and only has one owner before us. But that's all the details I have for you. Thank you for hearing us and having me speak.
Thanks, Jordan. Any questions, comments from the board?
Just a comment, looking at the price to obtain these homes, it seems like significantly less than building new. So I think this is a great use of funds in, taking properties that are already built and renovating them and putting them into the land trust. It seems like a really, not only a great use for expanding affordable homeowner opportunities, but also a very cost-effective way of doing so. So I just applaud the work that Jordan, you are doing with your team.
Thank you, Representative.
Great. Director Williamson?
I was just going to make a motion to approve.
Oh, I was going to echo Representative Inamorato's comments, because I actually leaned over to Director Powell and I said, our opportunities to do what they just did at those price points in the city are slipping away. So I think, thank you, Victoria and Jordan for, your work on this. And, the more we can engage on partners to identify opportunities like this and leverage our funds for all the reasons that you said, Representative, I think the better. So thank you. So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye. Great work.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. The motion carries. Thank you again. Congratulations. Excited to see the projects move along. Next on the agenda, we have Central Northside Arch Court Apartments. I believe joining us for that will be Nicholas Person and Evan Miller.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicholas Person. I'm a lending analyst in the residential lending department of the URA. And I'm here in front of the board today to request authorization to enter into a rental gap program loan agreement with Arch Court Incorporated in the amount of $385,000. Next slide. This loan agreement will be made for the rehabilitation of the Arch Court apartments located in the central Northside neighborhood of Pittsburgh. These apartments were the brainchild of the local neighborhood organization known as the Allegheny City Central Association. Recognizing the ever-increasing need for senior housing, this organization created the nonprofit group Arch Court Incorporated with the intent of managing the development of Arch Court apartments. The building was completed in the late 1990s and has since been rented affordably exclusively to seniors whose incomes are no greater than 30% of AMI. The building is also categorized as a HUD Section 202 property and holds 30 project-based vouchers for all 30 units within. Now, fast forward to today, and in also recognizing the mobility impairments of some of its residents, Arch Court Incorporated is seeking financial assistance to complete specific renovations that would make all of these units more ADA compliant. These include a complete redesign to the kitchens in all the units, new roll-in showers, new floor tiling in the shared community space, as well as automatic door installations in the building's front and rear entrances. The total development costs for these projects or these endeavors would be $405,001. Now, because this is a HUD Section 202 property, there are serious limitations to the allowable financing sources that may be used to cover the cost of these renovations. And so with that, Arch Court Incorporated has approached the URA requesting an RGP loan of $385,000. The remainder of the total development costs will be covered by the building's own reserve account. Now, should this loan be approved by the board, it would be sourced from the Housing Opportunity Fund 2021 budget, and its terms would include a cash flow repayment, as well as a record of a deed restriction to secure long-term affordability over a 40-year period. But before the board makes that decision, I would now like to introduce Lynn Weber, the president of the Arch Court Board of Directors, to provide a few brief remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Ms. Weber?
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Weber. I am the president of the board. Arch Court Incorporated is owned by the neighborhood, and we have a professional management team who prepared this proposal for us. As you probably all know, affordable housing in the central north side is rapidly disappearing, and we are committed to keeping as much of it as we can. So this Arch Court itself is not only a great asset to the neighborhood for the elderly people in the neighborhood, but it's also like a community center, or at least it was before COVID. We hold meetings there, people have parties there. It's definitely well integrated into the neighborhood. And as Evan said, it's that cash flow is really an issue. So we have requested these funds in order to do these upgrades. The apartments are over 20 years old now, and we would just like to make them more comfortable and more accessible to all of our tenants. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. Ms. Weber, can you speak to a little bit about how the current residents are going to be supported during this time of renovation? Will they have to be moved out of the apartments? Is it something where construction can happen while they're there and they're moving to another unit? Could you just speak to that a little bit more?
Yes, that's our plan. We have turnovers, and so we would like to keep an apartment to be used specifically by whoever is their apartment's being renovated, that they can move into that apartment. It will be the kitchens and the bathrooms, so they don't have to totally move out.
Okay.
But they will have accessibility to kitchens and bathrooms in another apartment.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Just out of curiosity, Ms. Weber and Nicholas, when was the building built? I guess how long has it been operating as as Arch Court?
I believe the first people moved in the year 2000, so 22 years now. We have been occupied. Yes.
Yeah. And it's been community owned the entire time?
Yes, it's community conceived, designed, built, and owned.
That's great. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations. It's a great project and I'm glad to see it moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, South Oakland Planning and Development Corporation Affordable For Sale Development. Victoria Jackson and Evan Miller joining us for this.
Hello again. Still Victoria Jackson, still part of the residential and lending unit here at the URA. Oakland Planning and Development Corporation requests construction grant financing in the amount of up to $420,000 to finance the soft costs for renovation of 6 for-sale single-family homes on Edith Place in South Oakland. Each home will be a 2-bedroom and 1-bathroom unit at a sales price of $128,500. The units will be sold to households at or below 80% AMI. The proposed grant will be sourced with HOF for-sale development program funds from 2021 and 2022. Per FSDP guidelines, each unit will have a 99-year affordability restriction. The properties included in the project were acquired by OPDC as part of a portfolio from a private investor in the area. These 6 homes will be included in the Oakland Community Land Trust, providing permanently affordable homeownership opportunities to home buyers, again, at or below 80% AMI. Oakland Planning and Development Corporation intends to market the homes during the renovation process, and sell the properties by January 2023. Regarding other financing sources for the project, OPDC utilized a loan from the Reinvestment Fund. They will also use their own equity and a PNC line of credit for the renovations of the property. Once again, we are requesting approval for a grant in the amount of $420,000 for Oakland Planning and Development Corporation to finance development activities for 6 for-sale units. Wanda Wilson of Oakland Planning and Development is also here on the call today to answer any questions you may have about the project. With that, I will open the floor.
Thanks, Victoria. Wanda, anything you'd like to add for the board?
Can you hear me? Hi, it's Wanda.
Yeah, we can hear you, Wanda.
Okay, hi everybody. Thanks so much for support of this project. It's great for us to have 6 community land trust homes all in one block. It'll make a big impact on that area. So we're really grateful for the URA's support of the project.
Wanda, would you be able to give us an update of the land trust just generally? I think it's been a while since we heard about all the wonderful work happening in Oakland.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. We're really beginning to see some ability for us to scale up, which has been, part of our plan for when we spent a lot of time laying the groundwork for the foundation documents and infrastructure for the organization of the community land trust itself. And now we're really able to scale up and add a lot of units. So we have 14 leases signed at this time in the land trust, and we have these properties in our pipeline, plus about, in addition to these, say it's 7 or 8 additional houses for rehab. We have lots of vacant lots to be able to build new construction, and really just looking for you know, really getting toward 50 units in the next couple of years in the community land trust, all permanently owner occupied and permanently affordable for low and moderate income buyers, you know, 80% of AMI or below. We also have a great program that was funded by the PHFA through the FAIR funding to support BIPOC home buyers to be able to buy a home in the community land trust. We're really working with a lot of existing residents in Oakland who are renting and want to become homeowners, might have you know, a financial barrier. So having some additional funds available. And we're also working with those buyers through a lot of education and financial coaching for them to be able to get mortgage ready. So we're really happy to bring that resource to the community as well.
Thank you. Director Williamson, you came off mute.
Accidentally, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Any other questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Great. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have South Oakland, the Pittsburgh Technology Center parking garage at 925 Technology Drive. And joining us for this is Gary Luginski and Paul Martinovich.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Gary Luginski. I am the Senior Project Engineer for the Quality Control and Inspections Group. I'm here today seeking approval authorization for 3 change orders for this project. The first is an authorization to approve the Second Amendment to the Professional Services Agreement in the amount of $120,000 with PJ Dick Incorporated. The second would be authorization to approve a change order in the amount of $10,634 with Calista Electric. And the third and final one would be authorization to approve a change order in the amount of $137,669 with CPS Construction Group. Next slide. The PJ Dick amendment is due to a few items. Increased timeline. We started this project a little later than we would have liked to. And then the costs for that management and site supervision. We also have incurred some additional costs in regards to our third-party inspection staff. Some stuff was not covered in their original proposal. For the Calista Electric change order, it will result in a new parking gate and access system for the Hitachi side of the garage. We had not included that in the original bid docs because we were going to salvage the original equipment, but it turned out to be not salvageable. That work will begin in December 2022. And then third and final item would be the CPS Construction Group change orders. The CPS incurred additional landfill costs for disposal of their unsuitable material during excavation and earth moving, excuse me. And also they incurred increased hauling costs to that landfill. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks, Matt. Any questions or comments from the board on this? I think this one's pretty straightforward. All right, with that, I entertain a motion.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, the motion carries. Thanks, Mac.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have Fairwood Industrial Site. Joining us for this, our Deputy Executive Director, Namani Stanger, and Executive Director, Felicity.
Hi, my name is Sushila Namani Stanger. I'm the Deputy Executive Director. I am taking this item for Tom, and this is an exciting job creation item. By my rough count, the board just enabled 60 units of affordable housing, and this item will allow for roughly 60 new jobs. So today we're seeking authorization to enter into a PDF loan agreement in an amount up to $800,000 with the URA for the purposes of a bridge loan to the Ferrywood Industrial Park to be repaid using the city's abatement program, the Commercial Local Economic Revitalization Assistance Program. So essentially it's a monetized LRTA. So this allows for the final piece of the capital stack. So we're seeking authorization to execute relevant legal agreements required to implement and execute this PDF loan. A little bit about the phase 1 Ferrywood. It's a design build for the anchor tenant Ferguson Plumbing Supply. Ferguson Plumbing Supply has signed a lease for 150,000 square feet to be constructed warehouse, which will be used to store light industrial plumbing and HVAC supply materials for retail and commercial distribution. The phase 1 will also include offices, sales counter, paved storage, and parking spaces. The project is expected to create 222 temporary construction jobs and 50 to 65 permanent jobs, and is a key economic sector for the city. In addition, the site will generate approximately $264,000 annually in reoccurring local tax revenue. The jobs will be a mix of office and warehouse and distribution. And I just want to thank staff for their work on this project, as well as our partnership with RIDC. We have Representative Jason Hobbs on from RIDC and also Councilwoman Kale Smith. Any questions?
We'll let Jason weigh in quickly here first, and then if the council president's on, if she'd like to say anything.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to the board of the URA. I'm Jason Hobbs. I'm General Counsel for RIDC and former Senior Counsel of URA. So it's always a pleasure to be back in front of this board. We're very excited to be working with the URA on this site to try to put it back on the tax rolls, bring in some jobs, and otherwise improve both the neighborhood, surrounding streets, et cetera. So this is an exciting project. It will end up with, we think, somewhere between 65 and 100 jobs after about 5 years, with somewhere around 50 at completion of construction, which will be November of next year. So while I know a warehouse isn't always the most exciting use, this site has a number of different challenges, which has made it very, very difficult for the URA to develop. And we're excited about this ability to do a partnership between RIDC, which is a nonprofit economic development organization, and the URA that will allow the URA to keep equity in the site and eventually have a return on its investment. So again, thank you to staff for all their hard work. It's always a pleasure to work with you all, and thank you to the board for your support.
Thanks, Jason. Any questions or comments from the board? No. I know we've seen a number of items on this project, so I think this is the last one to kind of move it on. So with construction starting soon, so that's exciting. I do know the council president's excited about the project and seeing it move forward. So yeah, Sushila would echo your thanks to staff, Jason, you and the team at RIDC, certainly as well. So with that, entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Wonderful. The motion carries. Thank you. Last on our regular agenda is the disclosure agenda.
Yeah, just as a note, I will be abstaining from item 1D.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the disclosure agenda? Entertain a motion to approve in its entirety.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? and 1 abstention is noted by Director Powell. Wonderful. With that, we'll take a 5-minute break and reconvene for a briefing on the Lower Hill project, as well as another public comment period. I guess it's a 10-minute break. I apologize. So we'll be back at 3:25. Thank you.